Hey there, my amazing family. Welcome back to Mr. Mason's Stories. I'm so thrilled you're here because today I've got something special for you. A tale that'll tug at your heartstrings and keep you hooked till the very end. Picture this: a private jet soaring through the clouds, a hardworking flight attendant, and a mysterious stranger who's about to flip her world upside down. Oh, and trust me, there's a twist you'll never see coming. This isn't just a story. It's a roller coaster of passion, secrets, and a love that defies all odds. You all know I believe in the magic of stories, right? They remind us that love can sneak up on us in the wildest ways, often when we least expect it. So grab your coffee or maybe a glass of wine if it's been one of those days, and let's get lost in this one together. Before we dive in, I've got a quick prayer for you, my beautiful crew. Father, shower blessings on every soul listening right now. Fill their hearts with unstoppable joy and light. Amen. Now let's make this fun. Drop your location in the comments. Are you tuning in from New York, Texas, maybe somewhere across the pond? And tell me, what's your vibe today? Cozy, curious, or just ready for some romance? You're not just my audience, you're the heartbeat of this channel, and I'm so grateful for every single one of you. Hit that like button if you're excited, and let's make the comments explode with love. All right, enough chit-chat. Let's soar into the story of Lila Bennett and the man who changed her life forever. Ready? Here we go. All right, folks, let's set the scene. Meet Lila Bennett, a 28-year-old firecracker from the windy streets of Chicago. She's got these warm brown eyes that light up when she smiles. But lately, life hasn't given her much to smile about. Lila's a flight attendant, not for the glitz and glam, but for the cold, hard cash that comes with private charters. See, her mom, Esther, has a heart condition that's been racking up bills faster than Lila can count. Every extra shift she picks up is another day her mom gets to keep fighting. That's the kind of woman Lila is: tough, loyal, and always putting family first. It's 4 a.m. on a chilly Tuesday, and Lila's phone buzzes her awake. She groans, rubbing sleep from her eyes as she stumbles out of her tiny apartment in Wicker Park. The call's from her supervisor. Last-minute gig, O'Hare, private jet to LA. You're on in an hour. No time for coffee, no time for anything but throwing on her crisp navy uniform and taming her wild curls into a bun. She's cutting it close, weaving through traffic, her heart pounding not from excitement but from the fear of missing this paycheck. That premium rate for private flights? It's half a month's worth of meds for Esther. She makes it to the private terminal at O'Hare with minutes to spare. The ground coordinator barely looks up from his tablet. "You're late, Bennett. Client wants wheels up and 30. Solo gig. Rest of the crew's out sick." Lila raises an eyebrow. Solo on a transatlantic hop isn't standard, but the hazard pay seals the deal. "Who's the client?" she asks, adjusting her scarf. "Anonymous booking through Carter Tech. Direct to LA. That's all you need to know." He shoves the manifest at her and she's off. The Gulfstream G650 sits gleaming under the hangar lights, sleek, sexy, and screaming money. Lila steps aboard, her practiced hands running through pre-flight checks. She stalks the galley. Dom Perignon, beluga caviar, wagyu steaks. This isn't just a high roller. This is next level. She's arranging fresh lilies in the cabin when the door hisses open, and the air shifts, like the universe just took a deep breath. She turns, professional smile locked and loaded, and freezes. The guy stepping in isn't what she expected. Private jet clients are usually older. Think silver hair and soft bellies from too many steak dinners. Not this one. He's tall, broad-shouldered, with a custom suit that hugs every line of his athletic frame. Dark hair falls just long enough to say he doesn't care about barber schedules, and his jaw's got this stubble that's too perfect to be accidental, but it's his eyes that hit her like a punch. Piercing green, shifting like sea glass in the light, sizing her up with an intensity that makes her breath catch. "Good morning, sir," she manages, voice steadier than her pulse. "Welcome aboard." He doesn't answer right away, just sets down a leather briefcase and shrugs off his jacket with his effortless grace that's almost unfair. "Mr. Carter will do," he finally says, his voice low and rumbling, like thunder rolling in from a distance. Lila blinks. Carter Tech? The name clicks, but she keeps it cool. "Any relation to the company, Mr. Carter?" she asks, half teasing. A shadow flickers across his face. "No questions. Coffee. Black." He settles into a plush leather seat, popping open his laptop like she's already dismissed. Okay, rude, but she's dealt with worse. Lila heads to the galley, muttering to herself, "Get it together, girl, he's just another rich guy who won't tip." By the time they're airborne, she's back in her groove, serving his coffee with a smile he doesn't acknowledge. 3 hours in, the plane hits a pocket of turbulence, nothing major, just a little shake. "Mr. Carter," she calls, stepping into the cabin. "We're hitting some bumps, please buckle up." He glances up, irritation flashing. "I'm fine." Then the plane lurches. Hard. Lila stumbles, grabbing for a seat, but the next drop sends her crashing forward, right into Mason Carter's lap. His hands snap to her waist, steadying her as the jet bounces. For a split second, she's pressed against him, his cologne, something woody and expensive, flooding her senses. Those green eyes lock onto hers, inches away, and she swears she sees a flicker of something. Surprise, maybe heat? Before the plane steadies. "I'm so sorry," she stammers, scrambling back, cheeks flaming. "You okay?" he asks, voice softer now, his hands lingering a beat too long before letting go. "Yeah, fine, thanks for the catch." She smooths her uniform, retreating fast, but she feels his gaze on her back all the way to the galley. Her heart's hammering, and not just from the turbulence. What the hell just happened? Lila's handled plenty of good-looking guys on these flights, actors, CEOs, you name it, but none of them ever threw her off like this. Mason Carter's trouble, she can feel it. And yet, as she steals a glance at him, now back to his laptop like nothing happened, she wonders, who is this guy? Little does she know, that fall was just the beginning, and her life's about to take off in ways she never imagined. So, there's Lila Bennett, still buzzing from that tumble into Mason Carter's lap, trying to play it cool as the Gulf Stream touches down in Los Angeles. The sun's dipping low, painting the tarmac in shades of gold, and she's running through her post-fleet checklist like it's her lifeline. Keep it professional, she tells herself. Focus on the job, the paycheck, her mom's meds. But every time she catches Mason's silhouette in the corner of her eye, her pulse does this annoying little skip. He's gathering his stuff, all quiet and composed, like he didn't just catch her mid-fall an hour ago. She's about to bolt for the crew exit when his voice stops her cold. "Lila." It's the first time he said her name, and damn if it doesn't sound like velvet rolling off his tongue. She turns, forcing a neutral smile. "Yes, Mr. Carter?" He's closer now, jacket slung over one shoulder, those green eyes pinning her in place. "I don't eat alone," he says, like it's a fact she should have known. "Join me for dinner." It's not a question, it's an invitation, wrapped in that low, commanding tone that makes her knees weak. Her brain screams, no way, he's a client, a mystery, probably trouble, but her mouth betrays her. "Sure, I mean, if it's not against policy." A ghost of a smile tugs at his lips. "I own the plane, I make the rules." Fair point. 20 minutes later, she's in the passenger seat of a sleek black Tesla, speeding toward a restaurant with no sign, just a discreet brass C on the door. Inside, it's all dim lights, velvet chairs, and maybe 5 tables spaced out like they're guarding state secrets. This isn't just fancy, it's his. They sit, and a waiter materializes with wine Lila didn't order, something red and rich that probably costs more than her rent. Mason leans back, watching her over the rim of his glass. "Tell me about yourself," he says, and it's not small talk. It's like he's peeling back her layers with every word. She hesitates, then spills a little truth. Growing up in Chicago's suburbs, summers chasing fireflies, her dad gone too soon, her mom's fight with her heart. He listens, really listens. No interruptions, just those eyes drinking her in. "Your turn," she nudges, sipping her wine to steady her nerves. He pauses, like he's weighing what to give her. "I don't have family," he says finally, voice quieter now. "Grew up on my own. Learned early you can't count on anyone but yourself." It's raw, unguarded, and it hits her right in the chest. She wants to ask more. Where'd you grow up? What happened? But the waiter slides in with plates of food she didn't order either. Seared scallops, truffle risotto, stuff she's only seen on TV. Every bite's a revelation, and every glance across the table feels like a spark. Dinner stretches into hours, and somehow they're laughing, actually laughing, over her stories of passengers demanding champagne at 300 feet. Mason's got this dry wit that catches her off guard, and when he smiles, it's like the sun breaking through clouds. By the time they leave, the LA night's cool and crisp, and he suggests a walk along Santa Monica Beach. She kicks off her heels, sand between her toes, and he ditches his jacket, rolling up his sleeves like he's shedding some invisible weight. They're quiet now, waves crashing soft and steady, moonlight glinting off the water. He stops, turning to her, and she feels it's that pull she's been fighting all night. "Why me?" she blurts, half expecting him to brush it off. He steps closer, close enough she can smell that woody cologne again. "Because you're real," he says, simple and sure. "Most people see me and want something. You just—" His hand brushes her cheek, tentative, like he's asking permission, and when she doesn't pull away, he leans in. That first kiss. It's everything. Soft at first, exploratory, then blazing into something hungry, desperate. Her hands find his shirt, his tangle in her hair, and the world shrinks to just them, two strangers who aren't strangers anymore. They stumble back to his penthouse, a glass-walled palace overlooking the city, and the night unravels in a blur of heat and whispers. It's not just physical. It's like they're pouring every unspoken thing into each other, a connection she can't name but can't deny. Morning comes too fast. She wakes alone, sheets tangled, sunlight streaming in. He's gone, but there's a business card on the pillow. Just a number, no name, silver embossed on white. Her fingers tremble as she dials. "I was hoping you'd call," he says when he picks up, voice warm now, not cold like on the plane. "I'm back in Chicago tomorrow. Meet me." She should say no, should keep her distance, but she's already nodding, okay? As she hangs up, staring out at LA's skyline, Lila knows she's in deep. This isn't just a fling. It's something bigger, something dangerous, something that's about to change her life forever. And she's got no idea what's coming next. 2 weeks after that whirlwind night in LA, Lila Bennett's back in Chicago, trying to shake Mason Carter out of her head. She's crashing on her lumpy couch after a late shift, the city humming outside her window, when a wave of nausea hits her out of nowhere. At first, she blames the greasy takeout she grabbed at O'Hare. Too much fried rice, right? But it lingers, a nagging ache that won't quit. She drags herself to the bathroom, splashing cold water on her face, and then it hits her like a freight train. Her period's late. Her heart's pounding as she digs through her purse for that business card, the one Mason left on his pillow, all sleek and mysterious with just a number. She doesn't call him yet. Instead, she bolts to the corner drugstore, hoodie up, praying she doesn't run into anyone she knows. The cashier doesn't even blink as she scans the pregnancy test, but Lila's hands are shaking so bad she can barely open the box when she gets home. 2 minutes later, 2 pink lines stare back at her from the stick. Pregnant. Holy hell, she's pregnant. She sinks to the bathroom floor, the tile cold against her legs, her mind racing. Mason Carter. Gorgeous, enigmatic Mason is the father, and she barely knows him. A name, a night, a number. That's it. She grabs her phone, fingers hovering over the keypad. What's she even gonna say? "Hey, remember me? Surprise, I'm having your kid?" But she dials anyway, because what else can she do? He picks up on the second ring, voice smooth as ever. "Lila, I was just thinking about you." Her stomach flips, and not from the nausea. "We need to talk," she blurts. In person. Next day, she's back at O'Hare's private terminal, prepping the same Gulfstream for a flight to New York. Mason's the client. Shocker. And when he steps aboard, it's like nothing's changed. Same sharp suit, same green eyes that make her knees weak, same cool nod as he says, "Coffee, black." She plays along, serving him with a smile she doesn't feel, but inside, she's a mess. The whole crew's there this time, pilot, co-pilot, no solo gig. So she keeps it zipped until they're cruising at 35000 feet. When the cockpit doors shut and it's just them, she corners him. "Mason, I'm pregnant." The words hang there, heavy as lead. He doesn't flinch, doesn't blink, just sets his coffee down and leans back, those eyes locked on hers. "How long have you known?" he asks, calm as if she just told him the weather. "Since yesterday. I didn't plan this, I swear." He nods, slow, like he's piecing something together. Then he stands, closing the gap between them, and pulls her into a kiss. Deep, possessive, like he's claiming her right there. I've wanted you since LA, he murmurs against her lips. This doesn't change that. Her head's spinning when he pulls back, but before she can process, he's on his phone, barking orders. Yeah, it's Carter. Exclusive contract. Lila Bennett's my attendant for the next 3 months, all my flights, make it happen. She stares, dumbfounded. What are you doing? He smirks, just a little. Keeping you close. And just like that, she's locked into his world. 3 months of jetting across the globe with the man who's now the father of her unborn kid. It's a week later, mid-flight to Miami, when she stumbles on the truth. She's flipping through a Forbes magazine left on a seat, and there he is, Mason Carter, billionaire CEO of Carter Tech, staring back at her from the cover. Tech Titan's next move, $5 billion expansion. Her jaw drops. He's not just rich, he's loaded, a recluse who dodges cameras like the plague. She storms into the cabin, magazine in hand. You're him? Why didn't you tell me? His face hardens, but his voice stays low. I don't advertise it. Keeps things simpler. Simpler? She snaps, voice rising. I'm carrying your baby, Mason. I deserve to know who you are. He stands, towering over her, but his eyes softened. You're right. No more secrets, at least with you. I'm Mason Carter, yeah, the guy from the headlines. But with you, I'm just me. He reaches for her hand, and she lets him take it even though she's pissed. I need honesty, she says, firm. No games. He nods, serious now. You've got it. As the plane hums toward Miami, Lila's head's a battlefield. Fear, anger, and something else she can't name. She's tied to a billionaire she barely knows, a man who's just promised her the truth. But can she trust him? And what the hell's she supposed to do now? Lila Bennett's life's gone from 0 to 100 real fast. She's 6 weeks pregnant, strapped into a whirlwind gig as Mason Carter's personal flight attendant, hopping from New York to Dubai to Singapore on his private jet. It's a sweet deal on paper, hazard pay stacking up, and her mom's medical bills are finally breathing a little easier. But every time she looks at Mason, those green eyes cutting through her like glass, she's torn. Part of her wants to run, the other part's already falling, and she hates it. He's got this pattern down pat. In public, airports, hotel lobbies, around the crew, he's all business, barely glancing her way beyond a curt coffee black. But the second they're alone, cabin door locked and cameras off, it's like a switch flips. He's all over her. Hands on her waist, lips on hers, whispering how he can't get her out of his head. It's hot, sure, but it's messing with her. 1 minute she's his secret, the next she's his everything, and she's starting to feel like a ghost in his world. They're in Colorado now, holed up in his sprawling mountain estate outside Denver. It's insane. 50 acres of pine trees and glass walls, a fortress disguised as a dream home. He moved her here after some paparazzi drone buzzed too close to a runway in LA, snapping blurry pics of her boarding his jet. For your safety, he said, voice tight, like that explained everything. Lila's mom, Esther, came too, set up with private nurses in a wing of her own. It's a relief. Esther's smiling more, healthier than she's been in years. But Lila's not dumb. This isn't just protection, it's control, and it's eating at her. One stormy night, she's pacing the library, can't sleep with the thunder rattling the windows, when she overhears him on the phone. Mason's voice is low, lethal. I don't care what it takes. If they run that story, bury them. Dig up every skeleton their editors have. Make it hurt. Her stomach drops. She steps closer, floor creaking under her bare feet, and he spins around, eyes narrowing. Lila, he says, hanging up fast, you should be in bed. Who were you threatening? She demands, arms crossed. He shrugs, casual as hell. Business. Nothing you need to worry about. But she's not letting it slide. Sounded like blackmail to me. What story? What's going on? His jaw tightens, but he doesn't dodge. Some tabloid got wind of you. Pics from LA. I'm keeping it quiet. She stares, fury bubbling up. By ruining people's lives? That's your fix? He steps closer, voice dropping. I'm protecting you, Lila. Once they print it, they'll hound you. Your mom, the baby. You don't know what they're like. And you do? She fires back. What else are you hiding? I'm not some doll you can stash away and play with when it suits you. The air's thick, electric, and she's shaking. Not from the storm, but from him. He runs a hand through his hair, frustration cracking his cool. You think I want this? I grew up with nothing, no family, no safety. Foster homes, shelters, you name it. Lost my sister to drugs when I was 19. Couldn't save her. I won't let that happen to you or our kid. It's the most he's ever said about himself, and it stops her cold. She sees it. The pain behind those walls, the scared kid he used to be. Mason, she says, softer now, I get it. You're scared, but you can't control everything. Not me, not this. He looks at her, raw and unguarded for once. I don't know how else to keep you safe, he admits, voice breaking just a little. She wants to reach for him, but she holds back. Safe's one thing, owns another. I need you to trust me, not lock me up. He nods, slow, like he's wrestling with it. I'll try. No more calls like that, I swear. It's a start, but she's not sold yet. Then it explodes. She finds a burner phone in his jacket later that week. Texts about handling the press and discretion at all costs. She confronts him in the kitchen, throwing it on the counter. You lied, what's this? His face goes dark. It's not what you think. Then what is it? She yells. I'm done with half-truths, Mason. I'm leaving. Me and the baby, we'll figure it out without you. He grabs her wrist, not hard but firm. You can't go, not like this. She yanks free, eyes blazing. Watch me. You don't own us. For a second, he looks shattered. Really shattered. Lila, please. That's my kid too. I grew up without a dad. I won't let mine do the same. His voice cracks and she freezes. It's not about power. It's about fear, deep and real. Then stop hiding, she says, quieter now. Be a father, not a warden. They're at a crossroads, staring each other down as rain lashes the windows. Lila's heart screaming two things, walk away or stay and fight. She doesn't know which is right, but one thing's clear. Mason Carter's not just a billionaire with a jet. He's a man haunted by ghosts. And she's the one who's got to decide if he's worth saving. Lila Bennett's 6 months pregnant now, and life in Mason Carter's Colorado fortress feels like a tightrope walk. One wrong step, and it all falls apart. She's stuck on him, no denying it. Those quiet nights when he traces her growing belly with this soft, odd look, or when he sneaks her mom's favorite cherry pie from some fancy Denver bakery. But the fight over that burner phone's still simmering, a crack in their fragile truce. She wants to believe he's changing, but trust? That's a tall order when he's spent his life building walls higher than these mountains. It's a crisp fall night, leaves crunching outside, when everything goes to hell. Lila's in the kitchen, pouring tea to calm her nerves. She's been restless, the baby kicking like it's staging a protest. Then it hits, a sharp, twisting pain in her gut, nothing like the usual flutters. She gasps, gripping the counter as her mug shatters on the floor. Another stab, worse this time, and she looks down. Blood soaking through her leggings, dark and terrifying. Mason! She screams, voice cracking with panic. He's there in seconds, bursting in from his office, face white as a ghost. Lila, what's wrong? She can barely speak, clutching her stomach. The baby. Something's bad. He doesn't hesitate, scoops her up like she weighs nothing, barking into his phone. Medical emergency, get the chopper ready, now! Her world's spinning, pain blurring everything, but she clings to his shirt, whispering, Don't let me lose it, please. His jaws tight, eyes wild. You're not losing anything. I've got you. Next thing she knows, she's on a stretcher, chopper blades roaring as they lift off for Denver's top hospital. Mason's beside her, holding her hand so tight it hurts, yelling at the medics to move faster. She's fading, blood and fear pulling her under, but his voice cuts through. Stay with me, Lila. You hear me? Stay. Then it's black. She wakes to beeping monitors, sterile white walls, and an ache that's dulled but still there. Her hands fly to her stomach, still round, still there. Relief floods her, but she's alone. Mom, she croaks, and Esther's there in a heartbeat, eyes red but smiling. You're okay, baby. The little one's okay too. Turns out it was a placental tear. Stress, the docs say, from all the chaos with Mason. Emergency surgery saved them both, but it was close. Too close. Where's Mason? She asks, voice shaky. Esther squeezes her hand. Hasn't left the waiting room in 2 days. Docs wouldn't let him in, said his pacing was spiking your monitors. Lila's chest tightens. 2 days? She's been out that long? Esther slips out, and minutes later, Mason stumbles in, unshaven, still in the same rumpled shirt, now stained with her blood. He looks like hell, but when he sees her awake, his whole face crumples. "Lila?" he chokes out, sinking into the chair beside her. "I thought I lost you." She reaches for him, weak but desperate, and he grabs her hand like it's his lifeline. "The baby?" she whispers. "Stable," he says, voice rough. "Doc's patched you up. Bed rest from here on out, but it's gonna be okay." Tears sting her eyes and she squeezes his hand. "I was so scared," he nods, swallowing hard. "Me too. When I saw the blood? God, Lila, I've never been that terrified." She searches his face, exhausted, broken open, and sees something new. No walls, no mask, just him. "Why'd you stay out there?" she asks. He drags a hand over his face, eyes wet. "Couldn't sit still. Kept thinking if I'd been better, less controlling, more honest, you wouldn't have been stressed. This is on me." His voice breaks and he's crying now, quiet and raw. "I love you, Lila, not because of the baby, because of you. I should have said it sooner." It's a punch to her heart, those words she's wanted but never dared hope for. She pulls him closer, Ivy tugging at her arm. "I needed that," she whispers, tears spilling over. "I love you too." He leans in, forehead against hers, and they just breathe. Together, alive, real, the chopper, the blood, the fight. It all fades, and what's left is them, stripped down to the truth. As he pulls back, wiping his face, she knows they're not fixed. Not yet. There's still baggage, still scars. But this is their rock bottom, and they're climbing out together. Little does she know the hardest part's behind them, but the best? That's just getting started. Lila Bennett's stuck in a Denver hospital room for 8 long weeks, and if she's honest, it's driving her nuts. Bed rest sounds peaceful until you're hooked to monitors, staring at the same beige walls while your belly grows rounder by the day. But there's a silver lining. Mason Carter's right there with her, and he's not the man she met on that jet anymore. He's softer, messier, realer, and it's changing everything. The docs say the baby's holding strong after that scare, placental tears healed, but it's high risk now, no chances taken. Mason's turned the VIP suite into his personal command center, laptop and papers sprawled across a makeshift desk so he can run Carter Tech without leaving her side. "The board can kiss my ass," he says one day when she frets about his empire. "You and the kid come first." She blinks at him, half shocked, half melting. This is the guy who used to bark orders and dodge questions, now skipping billion-dollar meetings to hold her hand during ultrasounds. Her mom, Esther, splits time between the hospital and the Colorado estate, overseeing a renovation Mason's kept quiet about. He shows Lila the plans one afternoon, blueprints spread across her bed, his voice almost shy. "East wing's yours," he says, pointing to a suite with big windows and a garden view. "Mom's next door, full access for her wheelchair. And here," he taps a room painted in soft blues and greens. "Nursery thought it could connect my wing to yours, if that's okay." Her throat tightens. It's not just practical, it's a promise, a hope they'll raise this kid together, separate but close. "It's perfect," she whispers, and his rare smile lights up the room. Weeks crawl by and they fall into a rhythm. Mason's at every prenatal class, scribbling notes like he's cramming for a test, breathing techniques, diaper hacks, the works. One night, she finds him passed out in the hospital chair, parenting twins open on his chest. Twins, yeah, that's the kicker. An ultrasound at 30 weeks dropped the bomb. 2 heartbeats, 2 little boys. Mason's jaw hit the floor. Then he laughed, shaky and wild. "2? We're having 2? She nodded, grinning through her own shock, and he kissed her, right there, Ivy lines and all, like they'd won the lottery. He's changing outside the hospital, too. One morning, she catches him on TV, first personal interview ever, announcing a $1 billion fund for foster kids and family support. "Becoming a father shifts things," he tells the reporter, voice steady but eyes giving him away. "Some cycles need breaking." She watches, stunned. He's peeling back layers he's kept locked tight. His foster past, the shelters, the hunger, and doing it for her, for their boy. When he gets back, she just hugs him, no words needed. At 38 weeks, her belly's a beach ball and she's aching all over. The docs schedule a C-section. Twins are ready and she's more than done. The night before, she's pacing her suite, well, waddling, too wired to sleep. Mason knocks, looking just as wrecked. "Can't rest either?" he asks, stepping in. She shakes her head, terrified. What if I suck at this mom thing? What if something goes wrong? He doesn't brush it off like she expects. "I'm scared too," he admits, leaning against the window. What if I can't connect with them? What if I'm like my dad, the one who bailed? It's the most vulnerable he's ever been, and it cracks her open. She shuffles over, leaning into him, his arms wrapping around her and the boys. "We'll figure it out," she says, voice muffled against his chest. "Together." He nods, chin resting on her head, and then he pulls back, fishing something from his pocket. A ring, simple rose gold, small emeralds glinting like his eyes. "It was my mom's," he says, voice rough. "Only thing I've got left of her. I'm not asking now. Just think about it after the boys are here, when you're sure." Her heart's doing flips. This isn't the controlling Mason throwing money at problems. This is a man bearing his soul, scared she'll say no. She takes his face in her hands, tears welling up. "I don't need time. Yes, Mason, yes." His face lights up, pure, unguarded joy, and he slides the ring on, hands trembling. "You mean it?" he asks, like he can't believe it. "Every word," she says, "not just for the boys, for us, for who we've become." Their kiss is slow, sweet, then hungry. Months of holding back, pouring out. When they break apart, he's grinning like a kid. "Try to sleep," he murmurs. "Tomorrow we meet our sons." She nods, curling up as he tucks her in, but sleep's a lost cause. Her finger traces the ring, warm against her skin, and she knows this is it. The jet, the fights, the near loss, it's all led here. Tomorrow they're a family, and she's never wanted anything more. As dawn creeps in, Mason's back, pacing with her, both of them nervous wrecks turned giddy parents-to-be. Whatever's coming, they're ready, together. Morning breaks over Denver General, and Lila Bennett's a bundle of nerves and excitement as the C-section looms. The hospital room's buzzing, nurses prepping, her mom, Esther, whispering prayers in the corner, and Mason Carter pacing like a caged lion, triple-checking emergency plans with his security guy. Lila's wheeled into the OR, Mason right beside her, his hand locked with hers. "You got this," he says, voice steady despite the worry in his green eyes. She squeezes back, anchoring herself to him as the docs take over. Then it happens. First one cry, sharp and strong, then a second echoing right after. Twin boys, red-faced and squalling, are lifted into the world. Mason's composure shatters. He's crying, tears streaking down as the nurses hand him the babies. "They're perfect," he chokes out, bringing them to Lila. She's stuck on the table, stitches still happening, but she cranes her neck, sobbing as she sees them. Tiny, wrinkly miracles with her curls and his fierce little frowns. "Hey, my loves," she whispers. "We've been waiting." Recovery's a blur, but soon they're in the suite, Mason cradling both boys against his chest like they're made of glass. "Ethan and Noah," she says, testing the names they'd tossed around. Ethan for the firstborn, steady and calm. Noah for the fighter, smaller but louder. "Ethan and Noah Carter," Mason repeats, voice thick with pride. Strong names for strong boys. Esther snaps a pic. 4 of them now, a family. And Lila feels it settle. This is home, messy and real. A year flies by, and the Colorado estate's alive with chaos. Twin toddlers giggling through the halls, toys everywhere. It's Mason's birthday, a day he used to ignore, but not today. Lila wakes him with a kiss, smirking. "The boys and I have a surprise." In the nursery, Ethan and Noah toddle out in matching flight crew tees, tiny pilot wings pinned on. "We're taking a trip," she says, and his eyes light up as she leads him to the Gulf Stream, the jet where it all started. Rose petals line the cabin, a nod to their first flight. "Paris," she grins, "where we began." That night, on a rooftop terrace overlooking the Eiffel Tower, candles flickering, Lila pulls him close. "A year ago you asked me," she says, slipping a platinum band from her pocket. "Now it's my turn. Marry me, Mason, tomorrow." He's floored, laughing through tears. "You're sure?" She nods. "Watch you become the dad our boys deserve, the man I love, I'm sure." The next evening, in a quiet garden, they say, "I do," Ethan and Noah wobbling as ring bearers, Esther beaming. It's small, perfect. Their vows a roadmap of their wild ride. Strangers on a jet, lovers in chaos, partners through it all. Later, they sneak back to the Gulf Stream, now a bedroom with silk sheets and petals. Our start, reimagined, Mason murmurs, pulling her close. As they soar above the stars, Lila knows every fight, every tear led here, a love that crashed into her life and landed soft. All right, my beautiful family, that's Lila and Mason's story. Passion, secrets, and a happily ever after, worth the wait. Love's never easy, but man, it's worth it, right? Tell me in the comments, what hit you hardest? Where are you listening from? Hit that like button if this one got you, and subscribe if you're new. We've got more stories coming. This is Mr. Mason, signing off with love. See you next time.